What is up, Critics? Welcome back to the Pop Culture Build series where I recreate movie cars, TV show cars, celebrity builds, iconic video game cars as well. So all different types, basically just pop culture is what I've summed it up as at this point, since it's kind of, become more and more than just the movie and TV show stuff. So in this one, I mean, technically it could be TV show or game, because there was a game made of this as well. So in this one, we're recreating the Wangan Midnight Blackbird, which is a Porsche 911 Turbo, specifically the 930. Absolutely, just super iconic Porsche 911. And of course, in GTA, we're going to be using the Comet Retro Customs Replicated, because that is the closest we have by far. Now, in GTA, the Comet Retro is based mainly on a 964, so not quite the 930, but it is the closest we have, so it's worth doing the build with. Now, to get the Comet Retro Custom, you actually have to, so this car used to be on Benny's website, but Rockstar took it off the Benny's website because they removed the OG Comet. So the way it works is you take an OG Comet into any custom shop that allows you to install Benny's upgrades, and then you could convert it into the Comet Retro Custom for $645,000. So you're in the car for about 750-ish, so which is not a bad deal, but unfortunately Rockstar removed the OG Comet, so you can't. Technically, the Comet Retro is also considered a removed website car, so the only way you can get it is by buying a regular Comet off a friend, or already buying one already converted. So yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Very excited to do this one.
What can we do to it?
Alright, so as usual for all these builds, I always do max internal mods and armor and all that, so we'll do that. So for front bumpers, the closest is going to be the stock one. Now, also you can go for the race bumper, one of the race bumpers if you want to choose one of these. It's up to you which one you think personally is closer, but based on the community and my friends, we've sort of discussed this quite a bit. Overall, with the grill shape and everything, we feel that the stock one is the closest, so that's what we're gonna keep here. Rear bumpers, the car didn't have any diffuser or anything like that, so you want to keep that stock there. Continuing to the engine, so strut brace. So for this, the car, so I want to preface this a little bit, so because you're probably wondering where am I getting these images from of the front and rear bumpers. So there's a diecast company called Auto Art, which they are one of the most detailed companies for making diecast cars, and they made a diecast car based on the Blackbird from the manga, which is like the comic, but the one used in the actual anime, it was a bit different mod wise. So the one from the manga had a the whale tail, it had black wheels, whereas the one from the anime had a different style rear spoiler. It was like a whale tail with a spoiler on top, and it had gold wheels instead of black. So that was sort of the main difference there. So I'm gonna be doing more towards the one from the anime than the actual comic, but I'm showing this diecast car here and like for picture references. That way it's a bit easier to see than like a grainy anime images and stuff. So yeah. Continuing, so we continue here to engines. So strut brace, so we're looking at the Auto Art car here. I figured we should at least have some type of reference, since Auto Art did a ton of research on this already. The car had no strut brace here. You can't remove it, unfortunately, so I'm gonna keep the most subtle one, which is the stock. Engine tune will max out. Exhaust, so another little thing, in the anime it had a dual exit exhaust, pretty much exactly like this, but in the comic it had it exiting only on one side, a dual exit but only on one side. It's very, very weird, but we can't do that here anyway. So yeah, and the closest is going to be the stock, because the big bore, it actually links it to your secondary color. So in this case it'll be black, which doesn't really look all that great compared to it's supposed to be more like a chrome. So yeah, we're just gonna leave that stock there. Fenders, I've already gone through all these. Stock is gonna be the closest. Yeah, so you want to keep the stock fenders there. For hood accessories, you want to skip this. No hood pins used. Hood, the car did have like that, that ridged area with the hood scoop, but obviously not the hood scoop, the hood vent. But this vent is in the wrong spot. It's supposed to be further back, and you don't really have any other options that are close to that. So most of the community agrees that stock is the best way to go for the hood as well. Lights. Oh no, we're going to interior now. Okay. So trim design, you want to keep the stock, no sun strip. Trim color, we'll get to that in a second. Dash. So this you want to keep stock because the dash and everything was pretty much stock for the most part. Dials also stock. Doors also stock. Seats. So the car did have racing seats with a racing harness. And the bolsters, the like shoulder bolsters, I guess you can call them, they were pretty high up. And I've already gone through all of these, and to me the closest is going to be the track seats, these right here. I recommend going with the red belts. The belts are supposed to be black. You can't do that unfortunately here, so I feel like the red sort of goes with it best. So yeah, the carbon track seats there.
Look at her now.
Steering wheels. So we're gonna go off the Auto Art model steering wheel here. The closest is going to be the Sprint Mark II, so we'll go with that. Like color, this one doesn't really matter. I mean, the gauges were like white and black, but here it's like the Comet interior, which is sort of forced like this weird blue tint. So I mean, if you kind of make it straw brown, you can kind of hide that blue a little bit more. So I think that's probably the root. You can see the difference there compared to silver or even white. You can see it's just too blue. But if you go more towards the straw brown, it kind of gives it that black and white look. So yeah, go with the straw brown there. Roll cage. So for this, the car did have a half cage, so you want to go with the half cage there. So we'll do that.
She's a beauty.
Lights, we'll leave that stock. Liveries, you want to skip this, leave the stock. Plates, this one doesn't really matter. It's you can just pretty much have like any generic plate on here. Even though I did notice that most of them start with 22, but yeah, it doesn't really matter 100%. I think the best thing maybe is like to have the most simple plate, so I'm gonna throw the SA exempt plate on here.
I've got that installed for you.
Respray. So for this, obviously you want to go with a black. You can go with a classic black, that's fine. I'm gonna go with the crew black personally. I just like how much more like there's more depth to it. Just looks a lot better. Let me get rid of that pearl really quick. So we'll do a crew black primary and we'll do a crew black secondary, and it looks great. Trim color. So for this, you want to go with the black interior. Now, some people do use like the gray, but most people, they do end up going with the black. So that's probably what I'm gonna do here. So I'm just gonna stick with the graphite there the way it is. Continuing to skirts. So a lot of people, they do install, well, some people recommend installing the full primary skirt, but it sort of cuts off the wide body, and I think it just kind of like cuts it off right there. It just doesn't look right to me. So the closest, at least to me, one that blends the most with the wide body without just cutting it off is the stock. You can see it goes all the way down the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, stock for this as well. Spoiler. So here's what I was talking about earlier. So the one from the manga was just a whale tail, but the one from the anime, you can see it's the whale tail with a spoiler on top of it. So the closest is going to be either the drift wing or the tuner wing. You can choose either one, but the tuner wing, the bottom edges, they're just curved too much. I think the closest is the drift wing. It's a little bit too tall, but it is the closest by far. You could also go with this one, but it's way too low. It's just not the right position. So yeah, we'll go with the drift wing there. Suspension, I mean, it barely lowers on this car. It doesn't really matter. I mean, the car, it's sat pretty much here. I mean, this one doesn't really matter all that much. I guess let's install our wheels first, and we'll see how it looks. But now transmission, turbo, wheels. Now this one is highly debated, but for the most part, everybody can agree that you go to the street category, and then you go down here to the Cosmo Mark IIs. So you have the smaller Cosmo Mark IIs with the larger tire profile, as you can see, and then you have the Cosmo Mark IIs that have that are larger with, you know, a more thin tire profile. So it's all personal preference. It's sort in the anime. I mean, you can sort of make the argument that, you know, they're a bit smaller. You can see the tire profile too. I'd say it's somewhere like in between, because these, they're just really, they're too small. I don't know, just my personal opinion there. I've also seen people using the, I believe from the tuner category, they use these. Yeah, a lot of people use these as well from the tuner category, but I just don't like the way they look on there personally. Yeah, I feel like it needs that deep dish. It looks a lot better. But I'm just showing you like all three choices you can use, and I guess pick whichever one, you know, you like preference wise. But me personally, because I just want it to look really good in general, I'm gonna go with the large Cosmo Mark IIs. Actually, this will be Cosmo Mark III, my bad. So Cosmo Mark III. I love the way that looks. So we're gonna do that there. Wheel color. So like I was talking about earlier, in the manga it's black, so that's the way it looks there. But in the anime it was a gold. So yeah, you can go right here to gold, and there you go, you're done. But I'm gonna throw on here the as I do have it unlocked from the GTA Plus stuff. If you don't have the GTA Plus wheels, just ignore this. Just throw on the regular gold. It's very similar, but I just think this looks a little bit better. So we're gonna do the anodized copper pearl. And windows, you want to do no window tints. Leave that stock, and there it is, all done. And I mean that is a pretty badass looking Porsche 911, if you ask me. I mean, even if we're not doing this build, that's a great looking clean car. I mean, look at that. That is super nice. I do wish they would have given us a hood option without that vent in the front, with the hood lines. I feel like that would have given it a nice, you know, accent. But yeah, all right, floor it. Of course, Comet Retro is not a slow car by any means. The handling is a bit sketchy, but it's still a great car to drive around in general. It's quick. Top speed is great considering what it is. The wide body is just ridiculous. Obviously, it's like the RWB wide body, but I think it would have been nice if Rockstar would have given us, you know, a normal one too, not just this crazy wide body. And that's all we're able to, you know, have on an older Porsche 911 base car. This is like the best we got in the game, unfortunately. But yeah, super nice to drive. The gauge cluster looks good. Very happy with that, because you no longer have that blue tint to it. Gosh, the Comet Retro is so quick, man. You forget how fast this car is. Jeez. Alright, let's go ahead, pull over and open all the doors and stuff like we always do. I love the black with the gold. That's just so nice. Wow, look at that. Oof. That looks good. Alright, manage vehicles, vehicle preferences, all. There we go. Open up there. That turned out super cool. The racing seats on that steering wheel, that's awesome. And the half cage, that's sick. We got the engine model there. Great car, man. I mean, it sucks that Rockstar removed it, but this thing's under $1 million. That's probably why they removed it. It was too cheap. Under $1 million for a Benny's custom wide body older Porsche 911. I just think it's 1,000% worth it. Yeah. So let me know what you guys think of the build down below in the comments. I know it's a lot of stock parts, but I mean, there's still some other little things that we talked about, and I think it's still fun to make these videos to kind of show all that and discuss it. But let me know what pop culture build you want to see me do next. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.